Good morning, traders. I am Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Monday, April 7th. $6 trillion. We begin a new week holding our collective breath as we are coming off a two-day massive decline in markets following Trump's latest tariff announcements. Experts calculate this accounts for a $6 trillion loss on Wall Street. Speaking of losses, on Friday, the Dow plunged 2,231 points, or 5.5%, making the first time the average dropped more than 1,500 points in back-to-back sessions. The S&P 500 tumbled 322 points, or about 6%. The Nasdaq sank 962 points, or 5.82%, officially entering bear territory. But Bill, let's get into a new week and Monday with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're down 2.61%. It's not good. It's, we're continuing to decline. I mean, it's being described as a nosedive, markets imploding, free fall. I mean, these negative adjectives are all over the place. But, the fact is that Donald Trump is unwilling to back down from his tariffs. He said yesterday, hey, sometimes you got to take your medicine to get better. And there's no political pressure on him to change course. And, he spent the weekend golfing, which is his prerogative. When the markets are telling you one thing and you're ignoring it, it can be an issue. I mean, the White House officials did go on the media circuit over the weekend, and they really did try and calm the market, saying, there's no recession. No, it takes time to do a reset of trade imbalances. But you look at it today, markets are continuing to weaken. So it had little to no effect. Jamily Dimon came out, the CEO of JP Morgan, with his annual letter to shareholders indicating that Trump tariffs are likely to increase inflation. Trump and his and the White House administration, they talk about certain prices coming down, and they're trying to say that all prices are actually going down rather than higher. Well, we do have the CPI data coming out this week, which I do think will show a moderate relief in inflation, but that's before the tariffs. It's after the tariffs that are going to really cause the inflation. I see Trump is going to be with the president of Israel today, Netanyahu, and apparently they're going to be discussing tariffs. So, that could be something. Let's take a look at the European markets. I mean, you look at the DAX. The DAX is down 923 points, or 4.47%. You got industrials, banking, tech stocks, autos, insurance stocks, all lower. The market was down over 1,000 points. The DAX was down over 1,000 points. So now that it's down only 931, it's kind of positive. I mean, the FTSE's down 366 points, or 4.55%. Banks and mining stocks continue to slide. And then you look at the CAC in Paris, is down 353 points. That's 4.86%. It's about the fears of a global recession due to the Trump's tariff policies. And then you look over at Asia. Now, remember, most of Asia was closed on Friday for national holidays. The Nikkei was open, but, the Nikkei fell again overnight. I mean, it dropped 2,644 points, or 7.83%. Japan's prime minister said that his government is looking into non-tariff barriers, which are pointed out by the U.S. to see what he could do. But the Hong Kong fell 13.22%. That's 3,021 points. The Shanghai in China fell 245 points. That's 7.34%. I mean, Trump said that, on Sunday, that unless the trade deficit with China is solved, they will press on with tariff plans. Markets are now waiting a policy update from China to shore up their economy, and they're expecting, some sort of stimulus action, which is the only reason the Chinese market didn't, push down even further. Then we're taking a look at oil, and oil remains the story. I mean, remember, energy oil, like oil, was exempt from the tariffs, but you look at WTI, it's down 2.60% this morning to $60.32. It was below $60. We traded below $60 for a period this morning. Brent, on the other hand, is down 2.53%, trading at $63.89. a barrel. So yeah, I mean this it's about the weakening economy due to the trade tariffs. That's what's causing oil prices to slide. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update, Emily.
Bill, you started out by mentioning, this negative sentiment that obviously is taking hold, and it's hard to ignore given the major declines in the market. But you're waking up on a Monday morning, and while we're all really questioning what's going to happen next, if nothing else, you're going to gather data and information to try to keep a cool head in all this chaos. You have your newsware, and you're going to look at all the news coming out in order to really navigate these very tricky waters. And Bill, you can hear from your opening that not only are you keeping track of what is happening today, but you're really gathering what happened over the weekend. These are small clues to see how we can trade the day ahead. You're going to still look for opportunities. So we're going to get through the details here throughout the show on this Monday. Let's start first with earnings action. A little slow on that front, but a couple of things worth noting. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings?
Yeah, it's a little quiet. I mean, after the bell today, we do have Dave and Buster's ticker play, PLAY. They're coming out. Their EPS is 64 cents. Expected move is 21.27%. Greenbrier Companies, they're releasing GBX, Grace Boy X-Ray. Their expected move is 15.08%. And Levi Strauss, ticker LEVI, Larry Edward Victor India, their EPS is 28 cents, and their expected move is 14.54% when they release this afternoon, Emily.
And you'll be watching those using your newsware, your earnings alert. You also have an economic alert set up. And even though there's no major reports today, there's some data throughout the week. And really, when we're talking the economic bucket, keeping track of all of this news around tariffs, inflation, all of these indicators sort of make sense underneath that piece of information. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of the day's economic events?
It's light. I mean, there is a consumer credit report coming out at 3 p.m. I think that's unlikely to move markets. I mean, this week we do get the Federal Reserve meeting minutes, which come out on Wednesday. Thursday, you get some CPI data, and Friday, you get that University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Survey, which will likely continue to show a negative sentiment. So, that's showing cause for concerns. And Friday, Powell spoke, and he emphasized the effects that these tariffs could be considerably greater than anticipated, potentially leading to both a temporary surge in inflation lasting and longer lasting impacts. I mean, confidence is a big deal. And when you don't have confidence in the markets do fall. And, these tariffs are eroding confidence in the market. So that's all I really have on the economic calendar, Emily.
And speaking of confidence, even though we're trying to navigate these indicators here, there are a couple of important ones, as you mentioned, throughout the week. Gathering Jerome Powell's comments from Friday, really putting the pieces of the puzzle together, but you're trying to remain confident, getting all of this news, data, and information through your newsware. You also have other types of alerts. We can't, forget that there will still be other headlines coming out, corporate news. You're looking at merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, catalyst calls, really to get trends for the trading day. You're looking at stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Just doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 30 stocks lower in the Dow. I don't have a single one trading flat, unchanged or higher. Just 30 in the red. All the FANG stocks are in the red as well. I mean, I don't see any positive action in them. Yeah, it is concerning. And you look at some of the news behind the tape this morning. Like Amazon. They've got a bid in there for TikTok. Well, Trump is on. Trump came out there and he said that he's extending his executive order to keep TikTok running for another 75 days. Apparently, he kind of had a deal before Wednesday's announcement on tariffs, and then China has since said they're not going to honor what they said before because of Trump's tariff announcement. So yeah, that deal is dead. So he's got to wait another 75 days. And Meta Platforms, Meta came out there and they're going to spend nearly $1 billion on projects in Wisconsin. I mean, that's kind of positive. But you look at the stock; it's down 3.8% this morning. They also released a new AI model, Llama 4, which would be typically cause the stock to move higher, but not today. Tesla and Apple are said to be two of the major firms with the most exposure to China. They're both trading lower this morning. Tesla's actually, in fact, leading FANG stocks lower as it's down almost 7% this morning. In terms of Dow Jones 30 news stocks, like JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon warns tariffs will raise prices and slow growth in his annual letter to shareholders. Microsoft, they got a joint venture with Risoff in China, which they're going to cease. This does after sales support, but they're going to end that venture. Caterpillar, ticker CAT, it's leading the Dow lower. I mean, if you look at shares of Caterpillar, it's down 5.57% this morning. And those shares are off due to primarily growth concerns with respect to China's retaliatory tariffs. In terms of merger news, Mesa Airlines, ticker MESA, Michael Edwards, Sam Apple, they're going to be merging with Republic Airlines. And in terms of catalyst calls, Algene, ticker A is in Apple. They were placed on the 90-day positive catalyst watch list by Citibank this morning, Emily. And that's all I have for you about news hitting the tape this morning.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that the professional Newswire delivers. We've now reached that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, it is courageous to be making picks in this, landscape here with the markets, but you're going to remain consistent and you're going to continue to look for opportunities. And remaining consistent is important in times like these in order to keep a cool head. So, what is your pick of the day today?
I'm going to go this morning. I'm going to go with an earnings play for tomorrow. RPM International, ticker RPM, Richard Paul Mary. Now, the EPS is 52 cents, and the expected move is 9.13%. On Friday, he had 224 calls traded against 42 puts. Open interest on the call side, 2,250 versus 421. So, that's all positive. And the brokers have been lowering price targets, which doesn't surprise me in this environment. But I'm hoping. I mean, the stock's bid 101.69, offer 106. So if I can get in 102 area, I think that would be a great opportunity, because I do think there's a chance here for a positive move after the earnings, because they don't have a whole lot of international exposure. So I do like RPM. That's my pick of the day. Richard Paul Mary, RPM at 102, Emily.
RPM is today. We will follow that along with you. And coming up, we will do a recap on Friday's pick of the day before we sign off on this Monday. But before we get there, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, sending it back to you.
Okay, what do we see here? Most of the news is related to the tariffs, obviously. AMC Entertainment announces the most successful weekend in 2025. That Minecraft movie came out, and that was a big hit. That was a big blockbuster over the weekend. The Minecraft movie. Anacor Holdings sends letter to U.S. Steel stockholders, ticker X. Teva got approval, for a drug. It's like a children's migraine drug, expansion of the label TEVA, and the shares are trading higher this morning. Tom Edwards, Victor Apple. Falling consumer sentiment could hurt Pinterest, PINS. Chinese retailers continue to get hit in this market sell-off. Lilly, the shares of those weight loss drugs, apparently Trump administration removed weight loss drugs from Medicare. Not good. OSTX, Oscar, Sam, Tom, X-Ray, they're requesting an FDA meeting regarding clinical endpoints for its BLA. Could be something. Hedge funds, investors, they're bracing for margin calls in this market route. Yeah, it's going to happen. We're going to see some margin calls hit some of these big hedge funds, and it's going to cause markets to move even lower. The Toyota Motors, the Japanese car manufacturer, aims to have about 15 electric vehicle models developed on its own by 2027, and they're targeting production of about a million cars a year by then. Interesting. Because they've always been on hold with the EV market, so it's interesting that they're getting into it. Walmart on Friday denied a report from ABC News that it was considering joining a group of investors to buy, TikTok. That's all I see this morning.
Okay, Bill, before we dive into trading today, let's do a quick check-in on Friday's pick of the day, which was Pfizer. Now, you were looking for some safety in healthcare, an industry that would hopefully have some wherewithal given the current climate. I did catch a headline, though, that tariffs pose a $46 billion risk to the pharmaceutical industry. That's not great news. As we pointed out throughout the show, Friday was a mess of a day following a not great day on Thursday. So even looking for opportunities was a bold move. How did your call work out, Bill?
It didn't really work out. It was kind of a flat trade, but I mean, the stock opened up at 23.94, and then it ran to 24.10, which was positive, but it closed at 22.95, and I was hoping to get in lower at that 22 area, but it just wasn't a good trade. It was flat on the day, flat to lower. But Pfizer, it's still one of the best dividend producing stocks out there with a yield of over 7%. And but the market's not jumping on the yield bandwagon just yet. I thought it would start on Friday, but possibly this week. But Pfizer was not a winner on Friday, Emily.
At this point, flat doesn't seem so bad. And as you pointed out, dividend play there. So maybe worth watching. And we will check in with you tomorrow about today's RPM pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning this week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead.